All right, welcome back, people. My channel, your channel, Tulsi Gabbard's channel, Save America, Vote Tulsi Gabbard. A quick note, Tulsi has been a little quieter lately. We've had some folks send me messages about her last campaign event and so forth, and I don't know, there's a lot of speculation out there about what Tulsi's up to. I know she's in this to try to really influence this election. I don't know, honestly, at this point, if she can win this. Again, the bottom line is that we support her until we're unable to support her anymore. I think that's what we need to focus on for now. So for those of you wondering, what her campaign strategy is, you'd have to reach out to the campaign directly. And we can all just guess that maybe the polling numbers are starting to be a discouraging factor within the campaign. There's no question about it. Of the progressives, the real progressives that are in this race, it's between Tulsi and Bernie, and obviously Bernie has a shot at this. So there are going to be a lot of people that begin to put their eggs in the Bernie basket, and I understand that. I'm Tulsi all the way. I think Tulsi is the best candidate. I think she's stronger on foreign policy than Bernie. I also think that she would stand up to her own party and the deep state and all of these different things more so than Bernie Sanders would. However, if it's Bernie against Biden at the end, then we are all Bernie-crats at that point, and we work to get Bernie Sanders elected. I'm on this article, which is trending on Twitter. It's trending. So, oh boy, Donnie Deutsch, whose name is spelled in a way which you want to call him something else, but I'm going to refrain from going into the gutter here, because typically one thing I want this channel to be about is not just dropping needless F-bombs. And because, guess what? Maybe somebody wants to watch a video and their kids are in the house. One thing I've had trouble with lately is watching certain people do videos, and they're just throwing F-bombs all over the place. And I had this conversation with Kelly, who's a friend of mine, who I did a video with on here, and we were talking about decorum and getting your message out and messaging and bringing other people into the movement. And she agreed that you can't just be this rabble-rouser hoping that, 20-somethings are going to latch onto you because you display outrage in a clever way, and you're using F-bombs as adjectives, like I say. So, just a little pet peeve of mine. I'd like to have everybody be able to hear these videos and to watch them. And by the way, I think you do risk if you're too profane, YouTube's going to come down. They're looking for anything to come down on you on, and they'll demonetize or deplatform whatever it is that they want to do. They're going to do it. So anyway, this guy Donnie Deutsch, his last name triggered that whole conversation. He says, you take the word impeachment and you change it to criminal activity. As some Democrats call for an impeachment inquiry of the president and House Speaker Pelosi pushes back against it, Donnie Deutsch has some advice. And these people want to keep this going for ratings. Now, by the way, here's the same guy. This is the same guy who admitted that if it became a race between Bernie Sanders and Donald Trump, that he would have to vote for Donald Trump. Or and then he kind of walked it back a little bit, but, the sodium pentothal had kicked in at that point, and he pretty much admitted that, we can't have a socialist. First of all, people, and this goes to this issue of when you brand yourself and you say, hey, I'm a socialist, and you've got, Cortez out there and Bernie Sanders and a few others who've decided to say, hey, I'm a democratic socialist. Not really. Not really. You're a Democrat who believes in economic populism. That's what it comes down to. And I keep saying rebrand it. It's the best term that I've come up with. It would appeal to Trump voters. It worked on Fox when Bernie went over to Fox and had to kind of explain his point of view. See, what's happening is you got to dig yourself out of this hole that the Republicans are going to put you into, and 99% of the media is also going to go, hey, how are you going to pay for it? What's socialism? You know, people are afraid. You know, they're afraid they're all going to get rounded up if you don't do what they don't do what you say. The government's in control, and it's like, just because you put the word democratic in front of it, that implies you're a Democrat, or it implies that the socialism is socialism light, and you can still freely travel across the country without fear of being rounded up or something. You know what I mean? So this idea that it's economic populism or plain old populism, economic and foreign policy populism. What's foreign policy populism? Simply put, it's not wasting trillions of dollars on endless regime change wars. That's what it is. So again, so this guy, the reason I pulled up this guy in this tweet is because this is going to continue, and it's going to continue to obscure the messages of people like Bernie and Tulsi. Because you've got layers like an onion, not the parody site, but some days you feel like the Onion is the parody site that you're watching, even though you're watching supposed real news. You've got layers of communication that people are being drowned in every day. And this thing is trending because this guy wants, the Democrats to refocus, repurpose, get out there and continue this nonsense, which, there are several people who follow me and I follow them, and they're like, I cannot believe they're going to fall for this and continue this. I watched Trump, by the way, do the 18-minute press conference. He looks energized. He looks defiant. He almost looks like a kid in a candy store who knows something that they don't know, and he wants them to step over this line. This accidental thing about him admitting that he did something with Russia, and then apparently he pulled the tweet down, and I think he did it. I'm almost 99% sure he did it on purpose. Because he's goading. He wants them to start the investigation. Because the investigation ensures probably that he wins in 2020. His base gets agitated, riled up, and turns out in droves in 2020. Because Trump knows it's not going to, there's no way impeachment's going to work, and it's not going to get past the Senate. And you got these lunatics on these progressive channels who don't talk about issues. They talk about, well, it's the duty of the Congress. Really, it's the duty of the Congress also to declare war. All right? And we haven't been doing that for so long, and that's a much more important issue than trying to impeach Donald Trump over a fake Russian hoax. And then your message completely gets diluted, or you don't even, people just, as long as it's Joe Biden and not Donald Trump, as long as it's, Mayor Pete, who's, the flavor of the month, and Kamala Harris, and now people have been talking Elizabeth Warren a lot lately. All right, I don't think Elizabeth Warren can win. That's just my opinion. I think Trump would have her for lunch. Because they have... Look, Trump is really good at branding his opponents, and he would have a field day with Elizabeth Warren. He'd have a field day with Bernie Sanders, too, but Bernie Sanders has great policies straight up and down the line. And he can call Trump out on the corruption. But see, this is the thing. Even Bernie has kind of like, yeah, we need to take a look into this again. And you're thinking to yourself, when will the election begin to be more important than the fake hoax? I mean, these guys already have enough to cover. And this guy here, he's just a Wall Street corporatist. And he's giving these guys advice. And he would prefer the policies of Trump over Bernie Sanders. So Why would anyone care what he's got to say, other than the fact that this is Morning Joe, and this is propaganda, and this is Twitter, and these are all the forces of what I would call the deep state media state working in concert together to create this illusion where people are not even talking about issues. You know, one of my favorite Twitter people, who is both a fan of Tulsi and Bernie, she always says, progressive policies, please. Stop the racket. Stop the talk about all of this other crap and focus on progressive things that will help people. And that's what I mean by calling it economic populism, foreign policy populism, a populist foreign policy. And, you know, for those of you that don't like to hear, you know, America first and so forth, I get that. So this language here completely wipes out the idea that we're just talking about us. I mean, it's really, the whole world would benefit if we had a foreign policy that was less intervention in nature. And we'd also, other countries would also benefit if we'd stop sanctioning them into making their economy scream, as the famous quote was from, I forget which president said, make the economy scream. But it's been in the news lately because this is what we're doing to Iran. It's what we did to Venezuela. You know, our country, I wish our country wasn't doing this crap because it makes me feel bad about the country I live in. And it took me a long time to kind of see over all the patriotism and all the, yes, we're the greatest country on the face of the earth, who is no longer really the greatest country on the face of the earth. That's the problem. Because if we were, you know, we'd have the best education system, we'd have a better transportation system, our infrastructure wouldn't be falling apart, and our people wouldn't be at each other's throats. You know, this division, this divisiveness, it's great for business, as Jeff Zucker likes to say. It's lousy for the American people. So, anyway, Donnie Deutsch, not really anybody that you should pay attention to. He's a corporatist. He's a Wall Street insider. This guy, he's got so much money, and he's on television because he's got so much money. And his expertise is in telling other people supposedly how to have as much money as he has. But this guy, he doesn't care about flyover country. He cares about the Beltway. He cares about all of the elites on the East and West Coast. And, you know, he cares about his portfolio. And that's about it. So, done here. Again, for you Tulsi fans, I'm hanging in there. I'm hanging in there. The debates are coming. We're almost into June, thank God. And soon we will have a Tulsi Gabbard debate with the rest of those candidates. And then we can see what the DNC and the media, what their behavior will be like. And then we can make a better determination of what our actions will be going forward. So, see you soon.